Fabric from the land of the five rivers.
Years ago, when we came to Los Angeles, I really believed that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future.
Hey, I'm back, man. I appreciate everybody's patience, man. I see y'all in the chat, man. Like, where is Pharaoh, man? You know me. I have my technical difficulties, but we're gonna get through it. Man, the Raiders, they be playing with people's emotions out here, man. Like, I expected them. Well, I shouldn't even say I expected them. I was kind of getting my hopes up. I'm like, hey, the Raiders might have a chance to get in the playoffs. If you've seen the last live streams, the last shows, I'm over here talking about their chances of making the playoffs, using the playoff simulator and all that good stuff. But you know what? It is what it is. AP was kind of, given a shorthand. He came in. The Raiders had a losing record, but I feel like, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about AP's chances of coming back and being the head coach for the Raiders. But hey, man, I don't want to keep my co-host at this point, man. We keep doing these Monday shows, man. He's my co-host, man. At this point, man, y'all. Hey, he's known as Mr. Controversy. The guy's Mr. Controversy, man. I like to call him right now. He's looking like Stephen A. Y'all be the judge, man. I'm gonna put him on real quick, man. Hey, make sure to hit the like button as well, man. But my guy, Severe Raider, is in the building. What's going on?
What's good? What's up, y'all? What's up? It's a tough one, man. Tough one. But
hey, man,
yeah, man,
I ain't gonna lie, man. You kind of making me look bad on my own show, man. Come on, man. Like, I got my hoodie, I got my Raider hat, but you over here. Hey, I see you, man. Hey, it's a new year. It's a new year. It's a new Severe.
It's a new year, man. I got this on, man. I figured that if Bo Hardegree can get an OC job, man, maybe I should interview as well, man. So I'm gonna put my resume up, man.
Hey,
put
you
my
heard it
resume
here
in
first.
and see if
You heard it here. Severe Raider has put in his resume to become the next OC for the Las Vegas Raiders, man. I think you might have a good chance, man. I think you might have a good chance, especially what we seen yesterday, man. It was tough, man. I don't know what that game plan was about. Trying to get cute in 3rd and 1s and all that good stuff. But let me get to the chat, man. Everybody's been waiting patiently, and I appreciate that. My guy, Robert Pena, let me make this bigger here. Pharaoh, Happy New Year, man. Hey, I appreciate that, man. Happy New Year to everybody and yourself, too, man. I appreciate you coming through and show support. It's a new year, man. It's a new year. Hopefully, we see a new team next year because, the Raiders have been eliminated from the playoffs, man. But it's all good. There's still one game left. Hopefully, they finish strong. But yeah, man, appreciate you, Robert, man. Appreciate you coming through. And this is funny, right? He says, hello, anybody here? See, this is what I'm talking about, technical difficulties, but we gonna get through it, man. We gonna get through it. Dodgers Everything says, let's finish the season strong, regardless if we ain't in the playoffs, man. I like that. Finish strong. They're gonna finish strong for AP, in my opinion. But we'll talk about all that. Hey man, my bad. Hey, my bad. Raider Dank Vader. Hey, technical difficulties. Appreciate your patience, man. Over here. Hey, I keep it real, man. I'm not gonna avoid these comments where people are saying where we at, but I appreciate everybody coming through. Like I said, I appreciate everybody's patience. But Yaya Hatamaki says, "Yo, what's good? Happy New Year, man. Happy New Year to you. Hope everything good with the fam." And the one and only Raiders Resistance. Salute everyone making my rare appearance. Hey, I appreciate that, man. Making your rare appearance on my show every time we go live, man. I really appreciate that, man. Coming through and showing support. JB in the building. Salute Nation. Hey, I think Perez got a question for you. He says, who's this NFL agent? Whose NFL agent is this?
Hopefully not Josh Jacobs, man. It's gonna be a rough offseason.
They talk about it. They say Severe coming classy. Hey, I think Severe's about to go to work right now. He got something for Raider Nation today, man.
Gotta go to work.
But yeah, Raider Room in the building, man. My guy, Raider Room, man. Go make sure to give him a follow on IG as well as Raider Resistance. One of the two biggest, two guys I follow on IG to get Raider news, rumors, all that good stuff, man. So make sure you guys give them a follow. I appreciate you guys coming through, but let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. Hey, man, it's the day after reaction. Raiders and Colts. We had a day to, let it sink in. And man, what are your thoughts from yesterday's game, man? We had a little high hopes. You kind of called it a little bit. I'm gonna give you credit. You called it short week, emotional win against Chiefs, and the Raiders kind of fell flat in the end against the Colts, and they lost, and they're now eliminated from the playoffs. What are your thoughts of the game, and what happened?
Yeah, man. Just want to say, friends, family, brothers and sisters, we are gathered here today to lay to rest our playoff hopes. It was they fought hard. But today is the day we so I'm in these duds, man. It is a funeral for the playoffs today, man.
Yeah.
It was we gave it a good shot, man. To think 8 weeks ago we'd be in this position, it was unthinkable. And just what this team has been able to accomplish, us even having an opportunity to even be in the playoff race, that's just speaks tremendously to the transformation that this team has undergone in these 2 months, man. So, but as expected, it was after being in such an emotional game. With everything on the line that day against a hated rival that we have had a very difficult time beating in the past, and then it also being a short week, and then another one of those games where it's a 10 a.m. game, in a centralist East Coastist time zone. We kind of always struggle with those early games when we're in different time zones, man. So everything was kind of lining up for it to be a trap game for us. And as I said, in the past, this team has struggled dealing with expectations. The one difference I was hoping was that AP would be able to be the catalyst that would, kind of turn the tide on those past trends, man. But even he was not able to overcome, the things that have haunted this team for years now.
Yeah, man. Just another case of the offense pretty much struggling.
Take this jacket off, man. Take this jacket off. Get comfortable, man. Get comfortable, man. About to start cooking now, man.
Start cooking now. He took the jacket off, man. That's how you know you about to start cooking. But yeah, man. Hey, man. It just at the end of the day, like the Raiders defense, they weren't as strong compared to the last few games. And not to say that they had a terrible game, but at the same time, like they were winning games because of the defense making plays and forcing turnovers and scoring points, and they didn't do that today, and they lost.
Yeah.
Because the offense, like it continued, like it's happened all season long. They fall flat. They come up short. It is what it is. At this point, a lot of the problems or answers the team is looking for their offense, they're probably going to be answered during the offseason. They're going to have to figure that out. But, man, I would say just thinking back at the game, it was just like, man, the Raiders were penalized, 7 times? Coming into the game, they only averaged like 4 a game. Now, some people might argue and say, a couple of those penalties were kind of, a few of those penalties might have been questionable, especially the one at the end of the game. But like Illuminor, the pre-snap penalties from Illuminor happened, and in key untimely turnovers, like 3rd and 1, putting the team behind the stick, especially this offense. It can't afford to be in 1st and long, 2nd and long, 3rd and long, whatever the case may be. I think that those penalties hurt early on. They stalled out drives. They killed the momentum. Even like the fullback getting a false start. I think, was it a false start? I believe. I think it was I think he had a false start in the game.
I think we had a false start on like a 4th and 1, I want to say, and then we were lined up to go for it, and we ended up having to punt.
And you just can't do that. You can't do that on the road in a competitive game like that, especially with the Raiders offense being so limited. Like, we know that it's a struggle to just move the ball. It's hard. It's crazy to say because you got Devontae Adams, who had a crazy amount of targets. Like, this dude had like 21 targets. He did finish with 13 for $126 and a touchdown, but it just felt like that was the only thing going for us on offense, was just throw it to Devontae and see if he comes down with it. There was the creativity wasn't there. And they try to be creative in the wrong moments, like trying to be cute on 3rd and 1 when you should be running the ball. You know what I mean? It's just like there's certain moments where I'm like, come on now, like that's not always going to work. I'd rather see that maybe on 1st down, but in a tough on the road tough game, Zamir coming into the game playing well, give him the ball. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. The Raiders lose the game. Hopefully this doesn't affect AP's chances, and we'll get into all that. We'll talk about that later on. But yeah, let's pull up some of the game stats. I want to take a look at some of the game stats real quick. Hold on 1 second. Set this up real quick. I had it right here, and we should be looking at the game stats. So Aiden O'Connell finished 30 for 47, 299 yards, 2 touchdowns. Would you call that empty stats? This is a perfect example of empty stats.
It was some empty stats, man. But just looking at that, you're playing a team that's the 28th ranked rushing defense in the league, man. Why are you throwing the ball damn near 50 times, man? Mm-hmm. That makes no sense. Like, we should have thrown like 21 times, like max, right? And to throw it 50 times against that defense, man, it was a bad look, man.
Yeah, and the thing is too, Aiden O'Connell had I think at halftime he had 21 attempts. So it's like, why are we passing the ball as much? I thought that our identity was running the ball and being physical on offense since AP is taking control. I feel like that's what works for this offense as it's currently constructed. I mean, we have some weapons, but it's just not working as far as our pass game because we got inexperience at quarterback. And that scheme is just not working with this team right now. So I feel like the best thing going for us is probably running the ball and then, maybe working off play action. But I just felt like they just fell in love with the pass early on and try to get too cute in key moments. And the rest is history, man. It's just, you have an inexperienced play caller. And that's why Severe Raider has put in his resume to become the next offensive coordinator for the Raiders. But Zamir White, he had 20 carries for 70 yards, 3.5. I mean, it wasn't spectacular. He wasn't bad, but I did like him. He looked pretty smooth catching the ball out the backfield. I kind of was like, oh, okay. Zamir, he's not that bad, man. Excuse me. And
then his yards per carry kind of dragged down a little bit. He had some plays on some 3rd and 1s and some short yardage situations where we weren't able to pick it up or where he got hit in the backfield. So that kind of dragged down his yards per carry. But on 1st down running the ball, he looked very effective. I don't know what exactly what his stats were like running the ball on 1st down, but there was a few times he broke off some 6, 7. I think he had a 9-yard run on the 1st down, man, and it will put us in pretty good spots. It was just we struggled on 2nd and 3rd down this game.
Yeah. It's tough. Looking at, like I said earlier, I said 13 catches for 126 yards, 2 touchdowns for Devontae. It was one of those. It was like high. It was one of those. He wasn't efficient. Would you say he had an efficient day, or was it kind of like he still was dominating down there? It didn't feel like he was dominating because 13 catches, 126 yards. You get 21 targets. Like, I don't know. It wasn't, the impact wasn't there. I mean, we did finish. It was a 3-point game, but I felt like the creativity on offense, guys getting involved. I mean, Jacoby Myers did get like 6 catches for 56 yards, but I don't know, man. Offensively, man, the Raiders got a lot of questions going into the offseason. But yeah,
it was go ahead. It was a 3-point game, but was it really a 3-point game? It was a 3-point game. We ended up losing by 3, but was it really a 3-point game? I mean, we'll talk about that. All
right. So yeah, man. So that pretty much the Raiders pretty much lose at the end. They try to make it interesting, but a lot of people are talking about the big penalty at the end, and I didn't even know. I thought it was a penalty on Jack, but I didn't. I'm like, man. I was like, man, this game's over. I didn't know how bad a call that was, and let's actually go to that call. Let's see if I can find this real quick. So shout out to Sanjiti. I think he posted the clip, so I'm gonna let it play. So he had all 22. You can see Jack Jones lined up, and it looked like he timed it up. He timed it up pretty nice.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is that he actually checked in with the official before the play to see like if he was good. So that wasn't an issue.
Yeah.
It wasn't because he was lined up incorrectly. They just saying that he jumped off sides, but I don't see it.
Nah, man. I mean, it's one of those situations where he did so well in terms of timing it that, like generally the officials, they look at the ball and then they look at the player.
Mm-hmm.
And he was so in sync that it looked like he beat the ball, but he was just like exactly on time with the ball. So that's one of those tough calls, man. I don't think that it was because if you look at it in real time, it doesn't like regular speed. It doesn't look as bad. If you watch it in slow motion, like super slow motion, you can just see like how exact he was on there. But in real time, you can kind of see like, man, you can see why they can make that call. But that's why they went to me. That's why, some people in the competition committee for years have been lobbying to have penalties be reviewable. And that would open up a whole different can of worms in terms of reviews and all that stuff. And I think they're worried about it slowing down the game. But, that would be a situation where, if penalties were reviewable, you can go throw a red flag and say, hey, you know what, my guy wasn't offsides. And then that would have been a situation they likely would have won. But unfortunately, penalties aren't reviewable.
Yeah, and another thing too, it's just like, yeah, I know this is a terrible call. It is a terrible call. Like, there's no way around it. But the other side to it is the Raiders had plenty of opportunities throughout the game, and their offense struggled to finish drives, score points. AP didn't look as aggressive. This game on the road, like there was plenty of times where it was 4th and 1. They're in midfield. He didn't want to go for it. And he opted to punt the ball away and let the defense kind of like hold their own. And I mean, I don't blame him because he doesn't have confidence. He don't have confidence in the offense. It is what it is. But
I mean, they haven't given him reason to be honest with you. And then we had some penalties in situations where he wasn't gonna go for it. Like I said, we had a 4th and 1 where we had a false start. Then we had another 4th and 1 play. I want to say where we either had, I don't remember if it was a delay game or it ended up being like an illegal formation. It was some very costly penalties, and this was at a team that had been pretty clean all year in terms of penalties. Because last year we had penalties at the most inopportune times that cost us at least 3 wins last year. So to have that crop up again at this particular point in time, man, that was kind of disappointing.
Yeah, and that was a tough penalty on Jack Jones. I didn't think that it should have been called. It was a terrible call. But what I did think that was a bad play by Jack Jones. Some people might argue might have been questionable. In my opinion, I thought like Jack Jones clearly pushed Michael Pittman, and I think, in my opinion, he didn't have to. You know what I mean? He didn't have to, and that's just part of what I was talking about earlier. The mistakes. Raiders were making mistakes. They were penalized. Some of these penalties were uncalled for. Some of them, they were on the Raiders, and it's tough, but it's the truth, man. They made plenty of mistakes to lose this game as well.
Nah, facts, man, facts. Like that's one of those situations where you got to kind of calm yourself down and you got to kind of know the situation. Like, was the ball going out of bounds? Was it uncatchable? It was close enough to where you don't even touch the dude, right? You clearly he's not going to make the catch. That and what leads me to believe that maybe Jack Jones thought the ball was catchable was the fact that he pushed the dude because maybe he's trying to keep him from catching it and getting 2 feet in bounds. So that's why he pushed him. So if from his perception or his vantage point, the ball looks like it can be caught and the guy can get 2 feet in bounds, then obviously the refs are going to see it. Hey, you know what? This is a catchable ball. And then on the offsides, they went up by 10 at that point. I think on that next drive, we ended up scoring a touchdown. But it looks like the Colts were in prevent. So, we went 75 yards in 9 plays. We hadn't done that all game. So all of a sudden, our passing game just clicks at that point. So no, at that point, they're just, hey, you know what? We're going to sit in a shell coverage. We're going to make these guys throw the ball in front of us. We're going to make them bleed the clock, let them score, and then we're going to get the ball back. And then, they're going to have to kick an onside kick at that point. So we're not going to do nothing crazy where they can possibly make some kind of crazy run. So I think that last touchdown was fluky. That's why I said, was it really a 3-point game? On the scoreboard, it's a 3-point game, but that last touchdown, that was them. You know what? We're not going to do nothing crazy. We're going to keep everything in front of us.
Like garbage time points, pretty much.
Those car stats, man. Where Carr turns into Aaron Rodgers when the game is out of reach. He's like best quarterback in the league.
Hey, but not to be off topic, but he did win. I think he won this weekend with the Saints. Like they end up beating the Bucks. I don't know if they try to come back. Yeah, but they end up beating the Bucks. So
I think they beat him pretty badly. I don't think it was that close.
Right. So he's taking care of business over there. But at this point, man, we don't care about what's going on with the Saints. We care about what's going on with the Raiders. Super Omnicron says that was a winnable game, and they're still dogged out of offsides called Jack Jones. Damn. It is what it is, man. We know what it is, man, with the Raiders, man. When it comes to close calls, hey, it usually goes against them.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, I felt like the game was lost before that play.
Yeah.
I feel like the game was lost before that play. There's so many different opportunities, so many mistakes, so many drives where the Raiders, came up empty when it came to scoring the ball. Even mental mistakes by the Raiders defense. I mean, they're giving up that deep ball. Meek Robertson kind of, him being a starter out there makes you think going into the offseason, man, that's going to have to be – it's tough, man, because I feel like corner is going to be – I think is going to be a spot where we need to upgrade. We need to get some talent there. I like Meek, but I'm not really 100% sold of him being a starter, and that's what he is right now.
Yeah, Meek isn't a starter. He's a good, like I said before, he's a guy that's good in the locker room. He's a good rotational piece. If you need to spell your starting corner and you throw him in there, he's a guy that can come in there and hold it down for a short period of time. But starting down in and down out, that's not a guy I want to see started. And then Jack Jones, I think he gave up a pretty big play too. I can't remember if it was the Downs play or if it was the Pierce play, but Jack Jones kind of let one get past him. Was
that Josh Downs? Was that Josh Downs early
in
the game?
Yeah, I think it did. Yeah, I think it was Downs early in the game. I think that was a combination of him and Epps. So it happened, man. So, but other than that, but we've largely kept them in check for the most part. Outside of those 2 big plays.
Yeah. Lafayette says people saying we need a QB. Watch the Texas versus Washington game. His name is Penix, man. Hey, man, and we know everybody's watching the college football games today. I think Michigan end up squeaking it out in OT with J.J. McCarthy. I'm not sure if you're big on him, Severe, but yeah, Penix, man, seems like he's balling out right now. I think he's control. I don't know what the current score is right now for that game, but we'll see, man.
It's 31-21 going into the fourth.
Okay, 31-21 going into the fourth. Yeah, man. Hey, look, Penix. There's going to be plenty of quarterback options. Hopefully, the Raiders are at a spot where it's like, if they really want to get their guy, if they've circled that guy on the draft board, they're in a spot where they almost have to trade up. Like if they really like a QB in the draft, I feel like they're almost going to have to trade up. But what is the cost going to look like? That's the question. Right now, I think if I check the draft-a-thon, let me see if I can check and see.
Where are we at right now with it?
Let's see. I'll try to pull up the Raiders draft. I think the last time I checked, they were picking 11th.
Yeah, man. I mean, hey, the commenter brought up Penix. Penix for like the first quarter of the season. You know, he was my QB1. You know, I still really like Penix. I got him squarely behind Jaden Daniels at this point. But Penix, as I said before, he's probably the best pure passer in this draft. He doesn't offer as much in terms of threat with his legs. He can still run. He's 1,000 times the threat that Aiden O'Connell is, but he's not the guy that's going to take off and possibly score like Jaden Daniels. But if we could get Penix, man, I would love that. Dude throws darts.
Let's take a look at it real quick. So we got let's see right here. Obviously, the Bears got the number 1 pick, courtesy of Carolina. Man, that's such a terrible trade. If you're looking at it right now, it's like, man, they need so much help. And that guy, man, that's all. I'm glad I'm not a Panther fan. But look, so Washington is picking second. New England's third right now. And if we go all the way down, let's just skip all the way to the Raiders. Currently, they're at number 11th. And possibly can go up because they're tied. Look, it's a 3-way tie for 9, 10, 11. And you might be able to get to number 8 at the highest for the Raiders, but I don't know if that's gonna go. I don't know if that's gonna be possible. Because say if the Jets win next week, I think the Jets probably get it because I think then we beat them head to head, like the tiebreaker.
Yeah, we beat them. Jets. Yeah, we beat them head to head. Yeah,
we beat the Jets, right? So I think the highest we probably can get is number 9, possibly. But we'll see how it shakes out at the end of the season. But currently, right now, the Raiders are picking number 11th. And there's plenty of teams here that would pick QBs, starting with Washington, even the Bears. Yeah. But, hey, it's kind of interesting. The Bears end up winning this weekend, and, Fields made some plays. And the fans, man, they're all in on Fields, man. Like, that's their guy. Like, they were chanting his name, So that's going to be interesting to see what the Bears do here at number 1, because then if they go with Fields, that means this pick right here is going to be open for business.
Yeah, man, it's a lot because that's Eberflus. There's a chance he doesn't keep that job. So if the next regime comes in, that Justin Fields is not there. It's not there. I don't even think he's Eberflus. I think that was a Matt Nagy pick. I want to say so. It's not even Eberflus's guy. So Eberflus could say, you know what, I want to move off this guy as well. They have to make a decision on his 5th-year option too. So it's like, and do they want to make the same mistake that they made already? Passing on C.J. Stroud when they had the opportunity to draft him to keep Justin Fields. It's like, it's kind of like the situation we were in with AP. Where we passed on Bisaccia to hire Josh McDaniels, and we find ourselves in that exact same position next year. Do we make that same mistake again? Like, what would that look like? That's a potentially fireable offense. So I'm not sure if they're going to be in on QBs, but there's a lot of teams that between that 1 and 9, or even that 1 and 8 pick where they could be looking at quarterbacks.
Yeah, and if you just look at the top 5, let's say they do not choose Fields and they end up trading them, like that's like 1, 2, 3. Arizona, I heard, might be open for business for QB. So, and then you got the Giants. I'm not sure they're too excited about Daniel Jones, like, what I mean. So that top 5 right here, anything can go here. Like they can go quarterback easy here, but we'll see how it shakes out, man. It's gonna be a long offseason, but there's still 1 game left against the Broncos. And let's actually get into the chat real quick, and then we'll get into what we got next. Hold on 1 second. Let me get back to the screen here. Dodgers, everything talking about the game. Couple of dumb penalties that set us back. Yeah, man. Look, hey, Illuminor at this point, I'm good, man. I'm good, man. He is what he is at this point, man. He's a backup. He's a solid backup player. And I just don't like him starting out there because his issue has always been those pre-snap penalties, and he can never let it go. It's just at this point, the Raiders definitely need to attack the offseason, try to see if we can get like a good tackle out there. And it's easier said than done, but I think, hey, man, at this point, we got to address the O-line. The trenches is huge. And judging from what Champ Kelly was saying and how you try to build a team, it sounds like that might be the case coming this offseason if he stays on. And any GM with common sense would love to build through the trenches as well. So, and I think Illuminor at this point, man, the Raiders got to find a way to – man, they it's done for me, man. And it's not just him. It's just not him. Like, you got a Illuminor, the interior of that old line. What do you do, man? Like the from the guards to center, do we move Parham to center? And guys like Van Roten, their names are not set in stone. So it's just it's tough.
I mean, Loom, he had a pretty good year this year for the most part. I mean, it seemed that he had kind of kicked that penalty habit for the most part, and now it's kind of cropping right back up again. So, and then that's disappointing because he had gone like we were the least penalized team in the league, and now for that to come back into effect, man, that kind of bit us in the butt at the worst possible time. In terms of O-line, we did put Dalton Wagner on IR. I think that could be a guy we get give a look at right tackle in the future. Maybe we move Illuminor to the interior. Maybe he's a little bit better there. He's a little bit closer to the ball. He can see when the ball gets snapped. But if not, we might have to go to draft route or go free agency route. Andre James, I think everybody's kind of done with him. They want to see what Parham can do as a full-time center with a full offseason. Maybe when we bring in a new quarterback, they can start building their chemistry right there. But yeah, I mean, we definitely need two guards, and if depending on how Dalton Wagner develops at right tackle, we might need a right tackle as well.
Lafayette, I think, is speaking about the draft. I think they get Marvin in draft and a D tackle. You might be talking about the Bears. I think you might be talking about the Bears, what they might be doing with their first round pick. Man, Marvin with the first pick. I mean, whew. At number one, I think they might trade down if it's for Marvin. They might trade down.
Is he talking about us, or are you talking about the Bears?
Yeah, I think he's talking about the Bears.
Well, Marvin at number one, they got DJ Moore. I mean, if you want to,
I think that the mindset is keep building around Fields. Let's put
Justin Fields.
Yeah, put some two weapons on the outside. You got Moore, Marvin. I mean, I ain't mad at it though.
I love that. I mean, the more non-quarterbacks get drafted in the top of the draft, the better opportunity we have to get one. So if they want to draft Marvin Harrison number one, hey, let Marvin Harrison go number one. Let Malik Neighbors go number two. Let Jerzon Newton go three. Like, let all these dudes get drafted before these quarterbacks. It's good with me.
A31 Raider says, can you see PG as head coach and AP as a DC? I don't know about that, man. And you know what? We'll talk about AP as a head coach and his chances as well. But nah, I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think that's gonna happen. If PG if he so happens to becomes a head coach of the Raiders, I don't think his DC is gonna be AP. I think AP is just gonna move on. You never see that too. Like, usually when a guy is auditioning for a head coach job and he doesn't get it, he just moves on. Like Bisaccia, a lot of people were expecting Bisaccia to stay as a special teams coordinator when he didn't get the head coaching job. Like, at that point, he was like, you know what? Since he probably felt like it was awkward to come back. Being the head coach of the team in that locker room is just kind of weird to come back.
I don't know if Bisaccia turned it down, but I think it was a situation where you don't want that divide in the locker room. And, when it's like, especially everybody was so connected with Bisaccia, and the same way with Antonio Pierce, where if they put in another guy, and it was even more so last year because we knew we were essentially bringing in somebody from the outside. With Patrick Graham, it's a little bit of different scenario because he's internal, but yet and still, you're going to have guys that think Antonio Pierce should be the head coach. So that automatically already kind of undermines some of the authority of a Patrick Graham if he was elevated to head coach. So No, I think just it'll be best for Patrick Graham, not for Patrick Graham, but for Antonio Pierce, and well, really for Patrick Graham too, if Antonio Pierce were to move on, if that was the situation.
D Minute says, salute Pharaoh Severe. Happy New Year, fellas. Hey, man, Happy New Year. Hey, are you still going to that Broncos game? I wanted to go, but then, man, the playoff chances. I'm going to take a look at the tickets. I'm going to take a look at the tickets. I'm going to take a look at the tickets and see what it's going for right now. But yeah, man, hey, Happy New Year to everybody, man. It's a new year, new day. Hopefully the Raiders are going to be good moving forward, man. Hope they make some good improvements. 831 says again, he got a question. He says, how soon do you think we will hear the official decision regarding head coach with the draft, staff changes, considering the time frame? I think what's going to happen is that they're going to have to go through a process. I think per league rules, like they have to go through that process. And if I wish I can pull that up, like what that process would look like as far as, they got to go through that Rooney rule. It still applies. So,
yeah, AP will count as a minority interview, so I think we don't have to interview another minority candidate. I don't believe I have to interview another minority candidate outside the organization. I think in the past that's what the Raiders would do. They would just interview like a black position coach and be like, all right, we fulfilled the Rooney rule. So
a lot of teams do.
Yeah. So I think we do have to interview an outside candidate. If you're looking at timeline, my assumption will be like maybe a week or two after the Super Bowl, so we can, if there are some coaches on that staff that we wanted to interview, we had an opportunity to interview them and not interrupt with their preparations for that game, and then I think we'll probably make a decision at that point.
Yeah, and that too, and like I think it has to be a thorough process. Like they have to show that they've interviewed multiple candidates before they can come to the decision. So I think that's part of the whole thing. So it's going to be a little bit, it's going to be some time. They have to go through that process. But in my opinion, if Mark Davis has made a decision in his head who his guy is, he's just going to go through that process and then eventually hire him. But it's, hey man, we'll see, man. It's going to be some time. We're going to have some time to talk about it. We're going to hear, there's going to be a lot of rumors too. We're going to hear a lot of rumors, a lot of news regarding who is going to be the next guy, who's going to be the next head coach, GM, all that good stuff. But we'll see. But let's go move on to our the notable quotables. One of I think Severe, this is like I feel like this is your favorite segment, man. I feel like this is your favorite segment, man. Notable quotables.
Yeah, man, I like reacting.
For sure, no doubt. But this is pretty much, just to give everybody a heads up if they don't know what this is pretty much quotes from after the game, before the game that we felt like was interesting. Today we kept it light. There's one quote, and Severe, if you want to give everybody, people an intro of what this quote is about.
Yeah. This was Antonio Pierce. He was asked essentially about what the offense was doing, and some of the differences from what they were doing before, and this is basically his response to that.
Okay, give me just a second out, and I'm gonna play it real quick. Second. Still loading. And this is Pierce.
Now that you had a chance to look at the film, third and one seemed like the yard that you guys couldn't pick up. Could you put your finger on what was going on with 3rd and 1?
Yeah, just stay within who the Raiders are, right? Just convert the third downs. You could always go back and second guess a play call, but we've had a way that we wanted to do things, and sometimes just stay on script.
Man, it sound like shots fired, man, at somebody.
Yeah, man.
Break down that clip, man, for everybody, man. What did you think when you first heard that?
Yeah, so my automatic thought was, if he gets the job, Bo Hardigree will be unemployed. He will be looking for a job somewhere else that's not Las Vegas. It seems like some of the cute stuff we were doing was not to Antonio Pierce's liking. He wanted to play some smash mouth football, get Zamir White going downhill and getting those tough yardage, man. And that's not what Bo was calling. But that being said, this is the issue when you have a head coach that's kind of hands off with the offense and the defensive play calls. you have these situations where he's not really read into it. So he should have known like what the game plan was going to be, or what the Raiders were anticipating doing on third down, or had more input. And the fact that we weren't really doing that stuff, that's a rookie head coach type of issue right there. So hopefully with our future coordinator, he kind of gets that cleaned up. If it's still him.
Yeah, man. To me, it sounded like he was taking some shots. He was probably frustrated with the game plan a little bit too, as well. Like, if he's not at the end of the day, AP, he's the head coach of the team, but he's not going to be the guy that's going to be calling plays on defense or on offense. So, I think from those comments, and if AP does get hired as a head coach, I think he's going to have his own guy at OC for sure.
Yeah,
he's gonna have his own guy, man. Because there's no way, man. Like you can risk going with Bo Hardgree, man. There were moments where he called some good plays, but man, it's just their time where like there was questionable as far as, and some people in the chat were saying once he crossed the 50, the play calling got questionable, and those third and manageable, 3rd and 1, the play calls were not there as what you would like in a close big game pretty much a playoff game. So I think, that OC position is definitely going to get replaced.
No, facts. I think it would be malpractice if he did not bring in a better offensive coordinator and a more experienced guy. If we're going to keep Patrick Graham as our defensive coordinator, I think most of us hope that is the case. I think we have to bring in offensive coordinator. The hope is it'd be somebody that is more experienced, either more experienced as an offensive coordinator or a guy that has had some previous head coaching experience in the league.
Yeah, man. And Eagle Terry in the building, man. Appreciate you coming through, man. And we got Bammy Kami said there was some BS calls, plain and simple. Yeah, man. Hey, if you're a Raider fan, we've seen plenty of that. But what separates the great Raider teams from the bad Raider teams, or the great Raider teams used to overcome that. So the Raiders were always penalized, man, but they were always able to overcome it. So, in my eyes, when I was watching the entire game, I know that was a terrible call, and I think you're talking about especially that Jack Jones, that was a terrible call. But like I said before, the Raiders lost the game before that play call. They lost the game before that play call.
And what you don't want to get into is that you don't want to get into being like a victim mentality, right? Like, oh, we should have won, but we didn't because of somebody besides us. That's where you never want to get into that space where And I don't think that Antonio Pierce he's not back telling the locker room, hey, we lost because this penalty. That's not the attitude you want to take with the team. You want to say, hey, you know what? We lined up for X amount of plays, and today they were the better team. And there's some adjustments we need to make. And we didn't make them, or some play calls we should have made. We didn't make those play calls, and we're gonna look at the film, get that figured out, and then we'll get that fixed against the Broncos. And that's kind of the attitude you want to take.
Yeah, and his sticker stepper says 3rd and 1 multiple times and not having one power run play between the guard and center is hella unacceptable. We should have got that dub against the Colts if we didn't shoot ourselves in the foot. Yeah, man, it is what it is. And AP after the game, he was trying to, he was like, even if we won the game, it still would have been, a toss up if they would have went to the playoffs. But the fact that they lost against the Colts, that's winnable. But at the end of the day, like, the Colts were probably looking at the Raiders and saying, this is a winnable game for us.
Exactly.
And the reason why I say that, it's not defensively. Obviously, the defense has been playing well, but offensively, I mean, we've scored 20 points 3 times the entire season. It's a 17-game season, and obviously the 17th game is coming up. But 3 times we have only scored 20 points on offense. That's not going to get it done. Man. That's not going to get it done, man.
Not at all, man. Not at all.
Marty Mart says we need to get to 4 or 5 AP a champ are there to want Fields or Kyler Murray, but I would get Russell Wilson if released and draft a young mobile QB. Thoughts? Hey, you know what? Go ahead, Severe, if you want to answer this, and I'll go after you.
I mean, I've kind of expressed my thoughts about Fields, and I think kind of Kyler Murray similarly. I mean, Kyler Murray is talented, and I think they want to make that work in Arizona. And so I'm cool on Fields. If we get a young rookie quarterback and we want to get Russell Wilson on a cheap deal because he has that offset language with the Broncos. So, it doesn't really benefit him to go anywhere and take a big deal because the more he gets paid by his current team, unless it's more than what the Broncos were going to guarantee him, which I doubt any team will give him more than that, then that just means the Broncos pay him less. So he's incentivized to take less money just to be punitive to the Broncos. And what better way to stick it to the Broncos than to take a super cheap contract, come to the Raiders and play them twice a year. But I don't know if that's the route they'll go. But I'm all for drafting a young mobile quarterback. Like I said, my top two quarterbacks are Jaden Daniels and Michael Penix. If we have an opportunity at either one of those guys, I'm definitely running that card up to the commissioner and making that selection.
Man, that's your guy, man, and you're letting everybody know. So if he goes somewhere else and balls out, I already know you're gonna be the first person to be like, "Hey, man, what I tell you?" Because you
CJ Stroud, man.
You call CJ Stroud. That's why you got the Stephen A. Smith fit right now. You know what I mean? You ready to go, man. But nah, man. Hey, I'm not mad at this, man. I'm not mad at it. As long as we don't give Russell Wilson a Jimmy G contract. That's the only thing. If we can get him on a reasonable 1 year, maybe 2 year contract where it's favorable to the Raiders, where he's not getting overpaid, I'm not mad at that. And then we draft a QB. Just look at our QB room right now. It's like probably the worst in the league. You can make an argument that the Raiders got the worst QB room in the league, but then you go from that to Russell Wilson and a young up and coming QB, which we can get maybe in the first couple of rounds, depending on where we're at and what offers we can get to trade up, or what the situation calls for when it comes to, because at the end of the day we don't know what's going to happen when we get to the draft. Like at the end, like you can't. There's not a guarantee, so that's why like you can see the Raiders going after a proven veteran just to cover themselves, just in case if they can't get their guy, at least they were able to get one of the good quarterbacks who were available early on. And that's why I can see maybe probably a Russell Wilson to be available. But if you had an option though, I'm gonna toss it. Oh, you know what? I'm not even gonna ask you this question, man. I was gonna ask you how you feel about Fields, but we've already been through this. You're not a Fields guy. You're not a Fields guy.
I'm good. The main reason I'm good on Fields is that because Fields he's this year 3. So next year is going to be year 4. So then you already have to make a decision about his 5th year option. His 5th year option is going to be very expensive. And then after the 5th year option, you have to extend the guy. So you get none of the benefits that you would of, those cost savings of having a young rookie quarterback on that rookie deal for those 3-4 years that you normally would have. So it's like, I'd rather just draft a guy and do it that way. If I'm going to take basically a guy that's still low key a developmental guy, just draft a younger guy.
Yeah, no facts. And Hit Sticker Step says Brian Callahan, the OC from Cincy, is hella slept on if available. He was running the same cold plays when they smacked the Whiners. Hey man,
I like Brian Callahan as a but like I said, that's
former.
Are we talking about as a head coach? Yeah, are we gonna take that as a head coach? Yeah, so
head coach.
That's my point.
Yeah, that's
he's not taking a lateral move. I doubt he's not taking. I don't even think the Bengals would have to allow him to leave, and I doubt they'll allow him to leave to go to another AFC team to be offensive coordinator. So unless we're giving him a promotion, we couldn't steal him.
Yeah, just a friendly reminder, everybody, man. Hey, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Also, hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time I go live. And obviously, if I collab with my guy Severe Raider, and as you can see on the screen, the Severe Raider, follow him all over social media. Up and coming Raider content creator. He has a Raider YouTube channel as well, the Severe Raider. Go and check him out and subscribe to his channel. But yeah, man. Hey, man. We got the chat is going crazy, but let's get it. Let's move on to. We went from notable quotables. We heard Pierce. kind of throwing some shade at his OC. I know he's pretty, pretty frustrated. But let's talk about what's real and what's not. And what's I'm gonna say a statement from the previous, not from the previous game, but pretty much. Let me pull this up real quick. Hold on 1 second. So I'm gonna just to give everybody an intro, because I know if people are here they're new. What's real, what's not? I'm gonna say a statement, and you guys can decide if it's real or it's not. And the first statement is: did AP lost his chance at becoming a head coach after the Colts loss? Is that real or is it not?
That's not real, but with the caveat, I think that definitely put like he came into this thing like, it was ironclad, almost locked. I think that game kind of put a chink in his armor. So if you look at the same stuff that's been plaguing him all year that I've been talking about, people kind of don't want to hear it, but his clock management, his timeout management is at the end of games, at the end of halves, just his situational, management of these games is not where you would want it to be. That granted, he's a first time head coach in the NFL, but he's been around the NFL for a long time as a team captain, on a Super Bowl winning team, as a head coach on the high school level, as a defensive coordinator on the collegiate level. So at some point, you would think like, you should know how to handle situational football. And it seems like he still hasn't, those synapses still haven't connected with him. And that's something that could be troubling. And if that's something that continues to plague him, we get into the playoffs and it comes down to those type of situations where, like every second counts, is he up to the task?
Yeah, I think it's interesting, man, because I felt like I did feel like AP needed to win in order to keep this job, or at least show that this team is I know the team is playing hard under him, and I want him to be the head coach, but we're not, and I'm not the final decision maker on who becomes head coach for the Raiders. It's going to be Mark Davis. And there was a report, I believe it came out Saturday, either Saturday or Sunday, where they pretty much, Ian Rappaport, I think, reported that even though Mark Davis has been impressed by AP, he is under the impression and belief that a big name needs to be in Vegas at head coach. So, and when you hear that, that kind of basically tells you, like, Mark Davis hasn't changed. He want to go after the Grudens, the Josh McDaniels, and possibly Harbaugh, and Harbaugh recently, he hired an agent in Don Yee with deep NFL ties, and his clients include Jimmy G, Sean Payton, and yours truly, Tom Brady. So there's a little bit of a connection there, Well, I don't know.
I don't like any of those people.
Yeah, I know.
I don't like whoever this Don Yee has the worst. I hate all those guys. I don't.
I'm just connecting the dots, man, because if he's connected to Tom Brady, if he's connected to any of these guys, like, that means that there might be an open line of communication going on with Mark and Jim, and I don't know. Who knows at this point? They're gonna go through that process, but I'm not sure if Mark Davis, if Jim Harbaugh is pretty much showing that he's interested in the Raiders job, I'm not sure if he's gonna say no to that. And it's tough though. It's tough.
Yeah, man. Jim, there's two people who Mark Davis love as Raiders head coach. The first being John Gruden, the second being Jim Harbaugh. He had an opportunity to hire John Gruden already, and it was going in the right direction on the field somewhat. Player personnel was still troublesome, and I think we can run into that same situation with Jim Harbaugh, where the play on the field can be going in the right direction, but player personnel could be bad. And this report coming from Ian Rappaport, I generally don't trust national reporters when it comes to what's going on with the teams. I think a lot of times the local people they have a little bit more insight, but you know, Schefter has been good on this kind of stuff, and Rappaport has been pretty good on this kind of stuff in the past as well. So we'll
Yeah.
see. Well, we talked about the interview that Mark Davis had earlier in the year, with I think with Deshaun Reed at the Athletic, and one of the things he's talked about was that he wants Antonio Pierce to be the head coach, and it's just at this point, has he done enough to turn that want into what he should be the head coach.
Yeah. And just to be clear, I don't think it kills his chance of becoming a head coach. I think it was a bump in the road, but I think that at the end of the day, like if you just look at if you just take it as if you take everything as a whole and just judge Pierce and what he had to basically take over from, the Raiders were 3-5. Obviously, the fans, the team, it just looked like the season was almost over at 3-5 pretty much, and he was able to get the guys playing hard again, believing in. It got Raider Nation believing again. I just think, man, it's going to be hard to move away from AP, because if you move away, then that means a lot of people are going to be leaving this team. It's going to be a lot of different faces. It might be a full-on rebuild. I'm not sure if Mark Davis wants to do that. I'm not sure if that's going to happen. But we'll see as it shakes out. I understand what you're saying about like the national media not having as much insight compared to like the local beat writers. But as of lately, I feel like they've gotten more breaking news, more rumor. Like I just feel like they've gotten a little bit as of the last few years. I feel like some of the national media has been right on a couple of things when it comes to the Raiders. And from the Peter Kings being there at draft day, Peter King is not a beat writer for the Raiders, but hey, he's in the building, literally in the war room, draft room, and he could see the Raiders, draft board. He could see all the players that he was saying that the Raiders should have drafted. They had this receiver high, but they end up going with Byron Young and.
Yeah, Jalen Hyatt high, who all won it over Trey Tucker and Byron Young, and Jalen Hyatt is. But we don't get into that.
Yeah, man.
It hurts too much.
Facts. But yeah, man. Hey, so let's see if I can get into the chat real quick to see what their thoughts on. Let's see, man. This chat is going crazy right now.
Chat going wild, man. I see a lot of talk about quarterbacks in the draft. A lot of people liking Penix. They see some Jane Daniels hating here. I don't like that.
But okay. Look, we got some people talking about on God. Thank you, AP. Let's go after Harbaugh. So there's a lot of people there's a big Harbaugh, kind of like fan base right now, man. They're not really sold on AP. They're not sold on him, and some people are kind of like, let's go after the proven winner, guy who's been a head coach, Jim Harbaugh, college, and in the NFL, who's had some success. The big thing for me with Jim Harbaugh is that he's gonna come with, I want full personnel control. Do we want to see that again? Do we want to see a coach with full personnel control and have a GM just be a guy in the room, just like pretty much being the assistant to the coach? You know what I mean? Because he doesn't have any power. I mean, what could he say? The coach is going to have the final say. So I don't know if I want to see that again. Let's just get a good coach, a GM, and have structure. Have the GM be in charge of personnel, and then have the coach the personnel that the GM decides on. Man, he's the guy that's trained to have that eye for talent, to make big decisions like that, to bring players on the team. Like let's have that, man. All the good teams seem to have that. Let's see. Man, the chat is going crazy. Lafayette says, I gotta feel Harbaugh go to Chicago. Okay. Lafayette says he feels like Harbaugh is going to Chicago or the Chargers. I wouldn't be mad at him. I mean, the quarterback situation is a little bit more compared to the Raiders. You know, it's a little better compared to the Raiders. But that's going to be interesting because Chicago, I think they have a situation where, the coach is the coach, the GM is the GM, So if Harbaugh comes there, he's going to change everything. So
Yeah.
I'm sure he's going to want personnel control as well.
Yeah. I mean, they could get rid of. I mean, they could get rid of the coach and the GM. Eberflus has been a flop. Nagy was a flop. So they could be a situation where they get rid of everybody and say, Harbaugh, you do your thing, or they bring in Ed Dobbs, and then that's essentially be the same setup that McDaniels and Ziegler had with us.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to the second statement. The Raiders' offense just needs some minor tweaks in order to be better and improve next 2024. Pretty much next season. So the Raiders need to just make some minor tweaks to the offense in order to improve moving forward. Meaning we just need to get an offensive coordinator and we good to go. We got the pieces. Just get an offensive coordinator and we're good to go. Do you think that's real or is not?
I mean, I think that's not real, just for the simple fact that we're going to have essentially a whole new offense next year because we're not bringing back the high. Well, not say we're not. I hope that we do not bring back Bo Hardegree. I do not think we will bring back Bo Hardegree. So we're going to come in with an entirely new offensive coordinator, going to likely bring in a new system, and we have to bring in the most important position on the football field, which is a quarterback. So even though there's only technically two jobs that need to be different, those are the two most important jobs for your offense. So I think that I would classify that as more than a minor tweak. So I think it's going to be a wholesale change on offense this upcoming season. And we could be without some of our biggest stars on that side of the ball as well, in terms of Josh Jacobs might be gone. Depending on what we get for Devontae, he may be gone. We might get you've been lobbying to get rid of Loom. We might have to make a decision on Colton Miller. Andre James gonna probably be gone. So I think it's gonna be a lot of changes to that offense. So it's gonna be more than some minor tweaks this season.
Hey man, I completely agree. I think that I actually don't think that's true. I think it's not. I don't think this team needs some minor tweaks on offense. I feel like they're gonna have to make some wholesale changes on offense. I feel like they're gonna have to. There's too much money. Like you bring this stat up all the time. You talk about how much money's invested into the offense and compared to the defense. And it's a huge difference. And I feel like the defense this year has made some strides. We need to start reinvesting some of that money into that defense. And in order to do so, we're probably going to have to get rid of some contracts, get rid of some big-time players. Might have to go younger on offense. It looks like we're probably going to be drafting a QB. And if that's the case, we're going to have to build that offense around that young QB, and some of the pieces might not work. Renfro's on a contract. We're going to have to find a way. Let's get him. We got to get rid of him. Devontae, he might need to go too as well. You know what I mean? He might not want to be part of that full rebuild on offense. As much as I like Devontae, it's just, it got to make sense for him and the team. So
yeah,
it's possible that he might need to go. You mentioned Josh Jacobs. Does he want to stay? Are we going to be offering him a contract? If Zamir goes out and finishes, the season 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, the Raiders might just opt up and be like, you know what, this guy's cheap. Let's bring him back. Maybe add another piece to that running back room. Maybe running back by committee. It's possible. I'm not saying that Zamir is better than Josh Jacobs, but hey, man, it's just too much money invested into the offense for us to get that type of results. And I think that them not the offense being so bad, the fact that I said earlier in the show, I said, hey, look, they literally scored 20 points 3 times this season. The Raiders offense with McDaniels, they averaged 14.6 points per game, which is 29th in the league. Obviously, that's terrible. McDaniels is gone. But since he's left under Pierce, they've averaged 18.9 points per game, which is 22nd, which is an improvement, but it's still not good enough. And in my opinion,
so and then look at it. So we kind of did this with McDaniels, right? So take out the defensive scores and how much is that team averaging, right? That was like at least 28 points over an 8-game span. where the defense has scored. So if you take out those defensive scores, how much is the team average? Right, that drops the average down even more. And if you take out that one outlier game where we scored that 63 points, all based off of what? How many turnovers we generated in that game? We scored like 5 times off turnovers. 2 of them were directly defensive touchdowns. So, you take out the outlier game, that's 63 points. Our average is probably about where it was before. The difference in this team has mainly been what the defense has been able to do. Seems like after that Vikings game, they pulled a Michael Jordan on The Last Dance, and they took it personal, and they went out and they started doing it themselves. So and as soon as we ran up against a team where we couldn't do it, we lost.
Yeah, and look, so I named the running back could be replaced. The 2 big receivers that are getting paid like 2 big time receivers. I mean, Devontae Adams at least we're seeing some production out of him. Renfro, we're not seeing any production. We got to find a way to cut ties. And I know, the contract sometimes could be a little bit tricky, but we're getting nothing from Renfro, and I think it's going to be too risky for us to keep that contract and assume that the next regime is going to have to find a way to use him. He just needs to go to a better situation for him, and it's no hate on Renfro. It's too risky to bring him back and have that much money invested in him. So that's three offensive pieces on offense, and I haven't even gotten to the O-line. And you mentioned the O-line,
exactly.
The interior, tackle. I mean, Colt Miller. I think he's going to come back. I think there's a good chance that he's going to come back. I think he's pretty solid. But like when you look at the 2 guard spots, center, right tackle, all those positions could be replaced. Maybe Parham moves into center, okay? We can say that. But that's still 2 guard spots where you kind of like can be replaced by a younger player, another veteran, and right tackle is still a position of need. It seems like that's the case every year. And think about it. Think about this. Leatherwood was supposed to be our right tackle right now. Leatherwood was supposed to be the right tackle, and is he even in the league? Is he still in the league, or is he with the Bears right now?
No, he left the Bears. I think the Bears cut him. He caught on with somebody else, but I don't know if he's still even in the league, man. To be honest with you, I think he's on a practice squad with somebody. I want to say he's on somebody's practice squad.
Yeah, and for everybody talking about AOC and maybe give this guy a chance, but to me, man, hey, look, I've seen enough. I feel like, in my opinion, I think he could be a solid backup. I still want him on the team. Yeah. But I just feel like he's just a solid backup. That just the ceiling ain't there. We can't go into next season thinking that he's going to be the potential starter for this team. Quarterback is going to be a huge need going into the offseason. Like, put it in perspective, AOC in 9 starts completed 61.9% of his passes, 27th in the league, 6.3 yards per attempt, 26th in the league, and is 29th among quarterbacks in touchdown to interception ratio. So, and he's committed 9 turnovers. I could go on and on, man. Like, it is what it is. He's a rookie 4th round.
He's 25 years old, man.
He's 25 years old. He's an older rookie
quarterback. He's probably older than Justin Fields. I had to look into that, but I'm pretty sure he's older than Justin Fields. He's 4 months younger than Lamar Jackson.
Let me check that out real quick. Justin Fields. Let's see how old Justin Fields is.
I'm pretty sure he's older than Justin Fields.
Justin Fields is 24 years old. And let's see AOC, Aiden O'Connell.
He's 25. He just turned 25 in like May or something like that, or September.
Aiden O'Connell turned 25 in September 1st. Yep.
Yeah.
And
Lamar Jackson, I think Lamar Jackson's birth, like, he's like 4 months younger than Lamar, basically. Like, so it's like Lamar Jackson is on his way to his 2nd MVP, and like by the time AOC gets done with his rookie contract, he's going to be 29 years old. So that's like, like he should be basically entering his prime right now. So he has a lot of physical limitations that I don't think he can overcome.
Yeah, Brian Rodriguez says, I like Frank Reich as an OC. We actually talk about that. I think it was like few weeks ago we talked about you know, if AP stayed on, who would the OC options look like? I think Frank Reich was one of the options. So I like that too. That's pretty much where he came from. I mean, that was his background. He was a good OC, and then he kind of got elevated to head coach. But as a head coach, he hasn't had success. So I'm not mad at that. I like that move if we were to go that route. Not as a head coach though. Not as a head coach. Not as a head coach.
No, I think he fits the bill of a good offensive coordinator that has head coaching experience. So I think that'd be a guy where that relationship could work with him and AP.
Yeah, facts, man. The chat is going crazy right now. Appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Also hit that notification bell so be notified every time I go live, man. Hey, that YouTube algorithm is real, man. So when you like the video, I can keep coming back, man. And I like doing this. So make sure to hit that like button if you haven't already. And then my guy, Severe Raider, as you see him on the screen, the Severe Raider, you can find him all over social media, as well as go to his
Pastor Severe, as somebody called me earlier.
Pastor Severe, man. But on YouTube, it's Severe Raider. Go make sure and subscribe to his channel. But yeah, man, hey, man, y'all are going crazy. Man, everybody's talking about everything here, man. We having a good conversation. Super Omicron says, bro, it's not hating Daniels. See, they're having conversations within conversations. Marty Mart talks, Harbaugh ain't going to get the trust and respect of this locker room. This ain't college and white team. You know what? Hey, look. I think Harbaugh is a risk. Harbaugh is definitely a risk because this locker room is fully bought in on AP. And if you bring in Harbaugh, who he's kind of a hard-nosed head coach, and he's coming from college, do you think that message will translate to the pros? And he's been away from the game since 2014, you know, and you're going to give him personnel control. It's still a big risk to go that route. But you got a guy in AP, and you know what that looks like. And if you put the right pieces around him, like we talked about before, I think when we went live on Saturday with Ray, we talked about like how, you know, AP is the type of coach where if you put like the right coordinators around him, you know, and if look at the John Harbaughs, you know what I mean? He's not the X's and O's guy, but he has the right coordinators around him. He's able to build his staff, and that's key. And I think that's what's going to help AP get the job. I think if we bring back Patrick Graham and whoever that OC is going to be, that's going to be huge. Let's see.
Nah, facts. I mean, I think when you have that style, like we kind of talked about that day, when you have that style of head coach, it's incumbent upon you being very, very, first of all, very stable as an organization in the front office, and then have the ability to hire high-level coordinators consistently, because when you have these hotshot offensive coordinators, those guys or defensive coordinators, those guys are going to be under consideration every single year for head coaching jobs if they perform well. So you're going to have to, you know, be cycling those guys in and out possibly every 2 or 3 years. So you have to really have what it takes to hire good coordinators and really have an eye for that. So no, that's what makes it tough.
See, Desert Raider says everybody assuming he wants full control. If not, pay that man.
I think he expressed that he wanted full control before.
Yeah, I think, and that was one of his issues when he left San Francisco, right? He had issues with Trent Baalke.
Yes.
In the past,
him and Trent Baalke.
They butted heads, and some say it was due to getting, you know, power over who had final say over roster. So, you know, we'll see, man. I think, and you know, you don't think Harbaugh is going to come into the room and be like, hey, look, Gruden came here and got a 10-year deal, got paid $10 million a year, $100 million. You know, I probably don't want to stay here for 10 years, so give me like 5, 6, 7 years or whatever. He's gonna come in there like, hey, making demands.
They gave Josh a 6-year deal, so they you know, Harbaugh's gonna want, you know, security, and he's gonna want the bag too. So it's like you want to be paying the 3 coaches at the same time, like crazy money. Like Mark got it. I mean, that's also come into consideration as well.
Hey man, AJ System just came through and just wanted to say this, man. He says we need a quarterback, man. Hey, it's just that simple. Yeah, man. 100%. We need a quarterback. But a lot of people talking about Penix, man. Hey, people talking about
Yeah, man.
Daniels. You know, there's gonna be
Jane
plenty of
Daniels
time.
and Michael Penix are my two guys, man. Penix and Daniels. I got Jane Daniels as my number one guy. Penix is my number two guy. It's kind of what it's
Oh,
been
he's your
for
number
most of
one
the year.
quarterback in the draft? You feel like he's the number one quarterback in the draft?
That's the number one player I would select. I know Caleb Williams is going to be the number one prospect in the draft. I would not select Caleb Williams just because I don't think he's not a leader of men, and he's a very immature guy. He just doesn't have a great attitude. He has all the talent in the world, but like I said, he is like Zach Wilson. I think he's going to be Zach Wilson in the league. And I'm not really that impressed with May. So if I'm going quarterback, I'm going Jaden Daniels. I'm going Michael Penix. Those are two guys I'm going with.
Okay. Hey, man, and it's going to be plenty of time where we're gonna break down all the quarterbacks, everybody that's going to be coming out, man. It's so much time. So much can change. I mean, like Will Levis was supposed to be the top 3 quarterback to get drafted, and he got drafted in the second round. I mean, as much as people might not like him or like him, he was a guy that people were projecting to go high at least in the first round, and he dropped to the second. So we won't know how everything shakes out, especially from the combine, the pre-draft interviews. There's so many things that can happen in between this time, but we'll find out, man. Hey, we're just Raiders. I think we're just excited that I feel like we're gonna go and get a QB. You know what I mean?
Man.
We had a QB for 9 years.
A young
Derek
guy.
Carr, and then we went from Derek Carr to Jimmy G, AOC, but now I think I have a good feeling that they're gonna try to get a guy in the first couple of rounds. I mean, it would be smart to do that. I mean, if you got near a top 10 pick,
first or second.
Exactly, man. But man, it's been a great show, man. We touched on a lot of different topics, man. We appreciate everybody coming through. Any last thoughts, man? Like, it's the last game of the season, Denver Broncos. What do you expect this game? Like, who do you want to see out there? What are you going to take from this last game of the season against the Broncos?
I mean, I kind of said this on the last live, but it's even more of a direct comparison now to January 2nd, 2000. That was the year that we beat the Kansas City Chiefs. I think we finished 8-8 that year. That was John Gruden's first year as head coach. We had been eliminated from the playoffs the week before, but we went into Kansas City and we spoiled their ability to go to the playoffs that year, and that kind of set us on a trajectory where we were in the playoffs and AFC Championship game, and then we had a Super Bowl appearance. So I think this game could be that same kind of launching point for us where, hey, we're not in the playoffs, but we're going to finish the year strong, and we're going to come back next year, regroup, refocused, and go on a nice little run. So hopefully that's what we do.
Man, I hope so too. Hopefully we get to see some young players come out, ball out, get some opportunity, get some PT. It's the last game of the season. It's kind of tough, man, because we I was hoping that they at least can finish the season strong and maybe have a chance to go to the playoffs. We could see some competitive football. It's been a while since we've seen that. But, hey, at the end of the day, man, it's going to be a huge, huge offseason. This is going to be a huge offseason from the head coach, OC, the coaching staff, free agency, the draft. There's so many things to talk about, so many things that we can look forward to. I mean, it sucks that the Raider season's over now. Like, we kind of used to that by this point. But we haven't gone.
I mean, it was over for a lot of people 8 weeks ago, man. So
Yes, sir, man. But it is what it is, man. There's a lot to look forward to. But hey, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, hit that notification bell so be notified the next time I go live and drop some new content. Also, you see the Severe Raider on the screen. He's all over social media under that name. But specifically, if you want to find him on YouTube, make sure to go over there. Just all you got to do, just hit that subscribe button. And my guy Severe Raider is always dropping facts. And he's Mr. Controversial. Sometimes he might say something that might get you mad at the moment, but he's gonna have you thinking about it because he's gonna back it up. But yeah, man, this has been a great show. We appreciate everybody coming through. Hey, like I said, make sure to hit that like button on the way out, man. But till next time, peace.
Great Pharaoh, the gift of Troy is a fabulous fabric from the land of the 5 rivers.
Believe that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future.
Just win, baby.
Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.